it's really interesting, but there is a market for shaming conservatives, and they pay a lot of money for it. There's money to be made in telling a Trump supporter that he is a horrible human being. And it's also true, so.
So how did you get started doing OnlyFans?
So it was late 2020. I had told myself that I would make an account if my toxic boyfriend at the time and I broke up. And as soon as we did, I made an account. And I initially just thought, like, this won't really be anything, but I had this newfound confidence in my body after getting my breast augmentation, and so I just like put a couple of like topless photos on there, and I quickly realized the demand for content like that from me, and it kind of just grew and grew, and it grew pretty quickly, and I realized that this was a thing that I could make some real money on, and yeah, I just kind of took it from there.
And how much money did you make, if you don't mind me asking, just from showing your top?
In the first few days, I had made about $1,500.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot easier then than it is now. I think that there was a level of novelty since people had never seen that from me then. And then moving forward from there, it was like a couple $1,000s a month. It came a point where it made me realize I could do it full time, and eventually, within my first year of content creation, I moved to a new state to pursue it full time.
So what is it like dating and doing OnlyFans and, meeting guys and telling them that you do OnlyFans? Do you come across a lot of challenges with that? And how do you deal with that?
Yes, there are definitely a lot of challenges with dating when you are putting your body online like that, because people are already looking at you objectively, or they're already objectifying you, and now you're putting yourself in a position where you're inviting objectification, and there's an element of like, I wouldn't date you, you're not the girl I would take home to mom, but you are the girl because I want to mingle with a porn star of sorts. And so the challenge was people using me even more for my body than they already were, and not being upfront about it. And I'm a lover girl, so I'm, falling for all of these men who in reality don't want me for me. It did take me a couple of years to find somebody who wanted me for me and who could overlook, what my job was and see me at my core. It takes more patience and time, but it also takes more boundary setting and not putting yourself in these vulnerable positions and being upfront. Like, I have a partner, and when we started dating, I had to tell him, it is really hard to date because a lot of men want to use me for my body, and he had set his own boundary when we started dating that he wasn't going to involve himself with me at that level yet, because he wanted me to know that he liked me for me.
Now, Candace Owens had tweeted, "Ban pornography. It is a psychological weapon intended to weaken our men." What are your thoughts on that?
I think a couple of things. I think that if men feel weakened by pornography, it's their problem, it's their fault. It's not my fault if you're weak-minded. That's just kind of ridiculous to me. But also, that's similar to me to saying, like, well, it's marketing. It's marketing. So if you go to McDonald's after seeing a McDonald's commercial, are you implying that you're weak-minded because you saw a McDonald's commercial and it made you want McDonald's? Like, that's the point of marketing, every facet of marketing is psychological. And if you fall prey to it, that's one, doing what the intention is to do, but two, that's your fault. I see a McDonald's ad and I say, no, that's not good for my body. I'm not going to put that inside of me. So what's the difference between me doing that and a man doing that, or choosing not to do that? There's plenty of men who have a healthy relationship with porn, or who choose not to consume it because they know how damaging it might be for them on an individual level. and they're taking accountability and ownership for themselves and how their mind works, whereas anyone who says otherwise is not taking accountability for their own mind.
Do you get many subscribers that go against their values? They're basically hypocrites. Like, they will say that they're against porn, but then they're secretly subscribed to you somehow.
Yes. Not only do I get those people, but I have friends who not just get those people, but they have a specific niche where they have conservative men who are ashamed of their values, who want to be shamed for their values. And so my friend, up until Trump was actually elected president, because then it became way too real and our reality really shifted and it messed with her mental. She was making degradation content for men who wanted to be shamed for their conservative beliefs, and they wanted her to tell them, you are pathetic for your votes, you are pathetic for being a conservative, you are gross, you're a vile person. And it was something that I guess they got off on somehow, but I think that inherently they understand that their values are messed up and that their belief system is it's so out of whack and it's so unfair. And I think that, I don't know, it really does make me think, do they not challenge their beliefs? Are they just okay with being who they are and knowing that who they are and what they believe in is wrong, so they want to be shamed for it? It's really interesting, but there is a market for shaming conservatives, and they pay a lot of money for it.
To be told that they're filthy Trump supporters?
Yes. It's a crazy statement, but there's money to be made in telling a Trump supporter that he is a horrible human being. And it's also true, so.
So how does your family feel about you doing OnlyFans?
They are very supportive of it. I didn't open up to them about it initially, but when I got to the point of moving away, they kind of had a feeling that's what was happening. Both of my parents are very supportive. My dad is very proud of me. I think he's just very proud to see me like paving my own way in the world. And I've always been like different, and I think that me having the ability to do a different job and to find success at it and to be really motivated in life with this particular job, I think that's all he cares about. I'm happy, I'm thriving, I'm successful. What really more could a father want for their child? And there's a lot of jokes about my job in the family. I've had aunts who have told me like, oh, help me figure out how to do this. I need to make some more money. Or my aunt and uncle, my uncle actually has some health problems, and my aunt's been trying to make more money to help with the bills and him like not working as much and finding her own way. And I made a joke to her like, let me know if you want me to make you an account. And they just laugh at it and they just think it's really funny and endearing. And I really appreciate the support that I do get, but in the event that I didn't receive the support, it really wouldn't change what I'm doing, and it wouldn't really affect me that deeply. I've always just kind of done whatever I wanted to, and this is just another thing that I've been doing that I want to do.
How was it telling them? Did you feel nervous? Like, how did you tell them that this is what you're doing?
I actually didn't say that I was doing it. My mom just kind of had a feeling. I think it was because it was the age where OnlyFans was growing and becoming a more well-known thing. When all of a sudden your daughter's making a lot of money, you kind of put two and two together if you're smart enough to, and they did. But it's never been a direct statement like, this is what I do. So yeah, that's just kind of how it all fell together.
So when you first started doing OnlyFans, you was making a lot of money very easily, but now that so many are doing OnlyFans, how much has that affected your income?
I think that a couple things have affected my income. I think that one, my novelty has worn off. Two, there are so many creators that you can subscribe to. I have to prove why you should subscribe to me instead of them. And I also think that there's some economical factors. There's something called the stripper index, which is kind of like one of the first signs of a recession is when strippers aren't making as much money, because when people have income to spend on something like that, they do, and when they don't, the money stops coming to them. And it's really similar for me in the space that I'm in. And so all of these factors combined, I think, have impacted my income negatively. And so just on the topic of myself fighting for my place in the industry, I think that the most important thing there is to understand what I have to offer that other people don't offer, and, you know, making sure that my brand aligns with those values. And so, you know, for me, there's a lot of creators who don't necessarily have a brand outside of like maybe being a hot girl or a bimbo or, you know, whatever else. And the creators that I find to have the most success have the most personality as well, because people do get tired of only getting to see your body. They want to see your mind too. They want to know why they want to connect to you. And so I think it becomes a little bit easier when you have points of connectivity for them, and you can show them like, yes, I'm hot, but I'm also really cool and funny and sweet and multifaceted, and there's a lot more to me. And I think that people are attracted to that and they're drawn to that. And so, yes, I've been impacted by, you know, the how big the industry is, but I've been able to maintain my individuality within that space. And so while my income is impacted, I'm able to kind of bounce back a little bit more when I'm in a space of showing people who I am and not just what I am.
Money is up and down in this industry. So how do you stay motivated when it's down?
It is absolutely hard to stay motivated when things are down. And that's when it becomes the most important to not just be motivated, but have some level of discipline. It's the same thing in fitness and lifting weights and really anything that you do. You're not always going to be motivated to do it, but when you have a goal to meet, you have to just keep doing it, and you have to know that like your consistency during the ebbs and flows is what's going to bring you back up when you're in a space of being down, and remaining consistent. And I might post a little less online. I might be a little bit less interesting or enticing, but you have to understand what your bare minimum is and what is an attainable bare minimum and what's going to keep you relevant to any capacity. And just make sure you're still doing that when it's low. Or if you don't have the motivation, you know, you have to keep trying new things. And if you don't, you're just not going to make it. If when you're not doing well, you don't allow yourself to do anything, then you're not going to get better. And so you have to have that understanding that like you have to keep working. It's a job, you know, when any business is slow, when a sports bar isn't getting a lot of customers because there's no games on, you still have to show up to work and show up as your best self to the people who are there. And it's the same thing. You have to have that business mindset or you're not going to make it in this industry or in any industry really.
So Andrew Tate, who used to work in the industry, having his webcam business, working with models, he now says that porn is a plague. What do you think of that?
I think he's a hypocrite trying to save his own skin. He got caught doing a very bad thing, and instead of owning up to it, taking accountability, and, you know, living with his tarnished image that he created for himself, he decided to do the Russell brand rebrand and, you know, decide he's this reborn again, maybe man with Christian values. But we see who you are in your true self, and you don't get to just skirt accountability for your very, very poor actions. You know, you were trafficking women. It's that you were in the worst. You were doing the absolute worst thing that you could be doing, and I don't believe what he's saying. If he wants to act like he's this new person, he's a liar, he's deceitful, and anybody who believes him is an idiot.
Has there been things that you've seen other OnlyFans models do that you have not liked?
Absolutely. I think that we have a duty to make sure that we are seen in the best light and we like maintain a very positive image of ourselves. And I think that putting other people in positions they didn't ask to be in, i.e. filming in public or making people see parts of yourself that they didn't consent to, which also is illegal, I think is really wrong. I have seen creators like walk into Starbucks fully naked and being filmed. I have absolutely no idea how they don't end up on a list. And I just think that's really vile behavior, and I think that it makes all of us look bad. And I think that I think we need to be mindful about the community and make sure that our actions are not making other people in our community look bad, because, you know, I have to make sure, I kind of have to do a little bit of extra work to make sure that people understand, like, that's not who I am and that's not how a lot of us represent ourselves. And that's just maybe what you're seeing online. And I think that we have to align ourselves with like a little bit more respect for ourselves and for others.
What are some of the things that you like about doing OnlyFans?
I like the freedom that it gives me. It allows me space to, one, be myself. It allows me time and freedom to pursue other things that I want to do. I really enjoy the aspect of getting to be my own boss and navigate something on my own and like really figure out what I'm doing, as opposed to just going to work and clocking in. It's really hard to find purpose and meaning in like clocking into work for somebody else and doing a job that I don't enjoy, and just kind of living that life you're expected to live, where you go to work and then you come home and you just have this like monotonous routine that's just not fulfilling at all. So I really enjoy getting to do something for me.
And what don't you like about OnlyFans?
I don't like the way I'm perceived by some people for the fact that I do it. I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding of what it is. It kind of takes away my humanity, which I don't appreciate. And I really don't like that people think it's this easy thing. Like, you know, you sometimes hear people, especially women, saying like, oh, well, I'm just gonna make an OnlyFans. Oh, I'm just gonna do this. And it's like, sure, but that doesn't really mean you're gonna make money from doing it, because it's a job. It's really hard work. It takes consistency. It takes a lot of knowledge. You have to understand the needs of people. You have to understand at least the basics of marketing and like your own brand if you want to find success. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, and they think it's just this easy money grab, which it might be in the beginning because there's like a novelty factor there, but as soon as the novelty wears off, like, that's not the reality of the job at all.
Now, you deal with like guys and like their jealousy and things like that. What about yourself? Do you get jealous? Do you get insecure about things? And if so, how do you deal with that?
I do. I think that I'm in a weird position for getting jealous because, you know, in a relationship, outside of my job, I do have some jealousy issues, and it puts me in a really peculiar position because it's like I'm now facing my own jealousy while there's also a small bit of a hypocritical effect because of my job. But I am definitely a jealous woman. And so it's a tough thing to navigate both of these things at the same time.
Do you ever get much hate, much negative comments? And if so, how do you deal with it?
Absolutely. Anytime I go like even semi-viral, people will flood my comments with hate. I have a lot of very creative things said about me. Some not so creative, which is kind of more disappointing, honestly, at this point. I think after you receive so much hate and you're able to separate your personal self from the hate that you're getting, it's easier to deal with. And honestly, they do sometimes say things that are really hurtful, and, you know, we're human, so It can be really hurtful. But you have to just learn to accept the fact that like these strangers who have no idea who you are hating you because of their own inner turmoil and world and how they view themselves. And yeah, I've gone through times where I was really upset and hurt by things people were saying about me, but I've also used it as fuel for more content. Like, I do love getting a hate comment on Instagram and reacting to it with a video and putting their comment in my video. Sometimes they delete their comment, which I guess deletes the video too, but they'll delete their comment because they're seeing how many people are like responding to them negatively, and now the roles are reversed and they're getting bullied for bullying me. And I think it can bring the community together a little bit, because people who support you don't like to see you being bullied and being hurt, and will come to your defense very quickly. But yeah, I think once you do it for so long, you realize, like, if you're receiving hate comments, depending on what you're doing to receive the comments, of course, I view it as a good thing. Like, if I'm getting hate comments on a video of me, like, pec flexing, for example, I am like, cool, I'm doing something right. I'm reaching a lot of people to the point where I'm now reaching the wrong audience. So that must mean I'm reaching a lot of people. So yeah, you have to learn that, like, that the only opinions that matter are opinions from people who you respect and who you would take life advice from. And if I don't know you, I don't care what you think about me, but I might try to re-educate you on what you're saying. And I have actually had a number of people be like, you know what, you were right and I shouldn't have said that. And it kind of makes me want to keep doing that. But sometimes I like to fight fire with fire. It really just depends on what mood I'm in.
So what are some things you want people to know about you? Like, what would you say would be the misconceptions about you as an OnlyFans model?
That I don't have any skill, that I don't have good, healthy relationships, that I need attention, because, like, obviously the whole point of the job is to get attention, because attention pays the bills. But they're not seeing it in that way. They're seeing it as, like, I'm at my core missing something, and therefore I need to post my body online. And I think that there's just there's so many people who think that sex workers are doing what they're doing because they had no other option, because they had no education, which, mind you, there are a lot of creators who are college graduates who are extremely intelligent and make more money doing porn and sex work than they did being a biologist, for example. And yeah, I think that we're just seen in this light that, like, we're lacking, and that's why we do what we do. But in reality, we are the opposite of lacking. We're fulfilled, and we're very happy and content with what we're doing. And if anything, it's brought us more joy and more purpose and more freedom. And I really don't, I think it's funny. I think the fatherless behavior trope is very similar to the crazy cat lady thing. Like, it's played out. We're done with that. We all have fathers. My dad loves me very much. He supports what I do. And I just think that people need to let go of these labels that they place on us. It's really funny. My favorite thing to say when I was 13 was, labels are for soup cans, and that rings more true than ever about my life because of my job. And yeah, those are my thoughts on that.
So I hear that OnlyFans has a couple lawsuits. Can you speak on those lawsuits, what they are and what your thoughts are on those?
So a couple of subs are suing OnlyFans because they've been misled into thinking that they've been talking to the creator the entire time, but they've been talking to the creator's agency, or rather the chatters that are often outsourced to other countries for pennies on the dollar, mind you, but I digress. Yeah, they feel misled. They feel like they've been getting to connect with somebody that they're not even talking to, and I do understand that. It's a tough position, because if you're a really big creator, you don't have the time of day at all to respond to everybody. I mean, I'm fairly smaller creator, and I have a hard time replying to everybody every day and giving myself to everyone and giving everybody my attention. And it is really difficult, and I do understand that people do need assistance, and that's fine. I think maybe there does need to be some form of, hey, you're talking to my team. I'm not really sure how to navigate that, but it does open up a bigger dialogue about agencies and their place in the industry. And I mean, I have my own thoughts and feelings around agencies and how predatory a lot of them are and how misleading a lot of them are. But yeah, I think it opens up a much bigger conversation of the ethics around this. And yeah, I do think that to a certain extent, the subscriber needs to use their own discretion and common sense and know, like, this girl has 1 million followers on social media. I'm probably not talking to her. And if that's the case and you feel like you're not talking to the creator, then there are tons and tons of creators who are self-managed, who you can subscribe to and talk to the actual person. And I think it also, it creates this unrealistic demand for attention where when a 24/7, chatter is talking to you and replying to you immediately, it creates this like expectation that everybody's going to do that. And I have experienced people, despite me having an intro message that says, hey, this is just me and I need like a little bit of patience because I'm a human with a life and, a lot of people to talk to, they still will come in, and if they don't get a response within a few hours, they'll unsubscribe, they'll ask for their money back, or they will be mean to you and they'll tell you hurtful things and, oh, why aren't you talking to me? Or they'll send you money for content and you haven't yet responded to them. You're giving them the content, but then they think that you're scamming them. And it's just like, hello, I'm a person, and I think it creates this like really unhealthy demand for like, that's just another facet of it dehumanizing us. And it's a bigger conversation to have, and I think that it needs to be had at this point for sure.
So where do you see OnlyFans in like 10 years time? Do you think it will still be going strong?
10 years is interesting. I'm not sure. I know, it's been around for around 5 years now. Obviously, sex work is the oldest profession, so I don't see sex work going anywhere. My hope would be that a new platform takes over as the number one, because that platform's not really the best. But I don't see it going anywhere. I see maybe some like more regulations being put in place around it. But I can't imagine a world. I know Project 2025 was trying to get rid of sex work. It is a fear of mine, and I don't know if this is just like hopeful thinking, but I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't imagine a world where all of a sudden the oldest profession is just gone. And even if OnlyFans was to disappear tomorrow, the job will still exist. There will still be a market for it. There will still be people in the industry. Obviously, there's other platforms, Fansly, Pornhub, new platforms that are created. So hopefully maybe it just becomes, like I said, more regulated. And honestly, I think we need to unionize. We need like a sex worker union or something. But yeah, I don't see it going anywhere at all.
Is there anything that you would like to share with us before I let you go?
I think that take what you can from this video, and if there's something that it can teach you, I hope it does. If there's one thing that I would suggest it teaches you, is that not everything is as it seems, and sometimes we have these like preconceived notions about people that are incorrect, and there are things that we've been like fed, or we don't often question our own line of thinking. So I hope that this encourages you to question the way that you think about things and people in the world around you, and understand that everything is more multifaceted than you might think, and that your first perception of somebody might not be the most accurate. So I think that is something that I would like to leave people on, because I'm really trying to change the way people view people in my industry.